Peter Rabbit finds old Mr. Toad. Good morning, Lee and August and Louis and William and Elliot and Kaylee and Bert. How are you this morning? We're going to continue on with...
Why not sometimes call his name Bert?
No, I don't. Gwen calls him Bert. We're going to continue on with the adventures of old Mr. Toad. And we are at chapter 4. Eleanor is here with us this morning eating breakfast. And then we have, of course, Edward and Gwenny. Here we go. It isn't often that Peter Rabbit is truly envious, but sometimes in the joyous of spring he is. He envies the birds because they can pour out in beautiful song the joy that is in them. The only way he can express his feelings is by kicking his long heels, jumping about, and such foolish things. While that gives Peter a great deal of satisfaction, it doesn't add to the joy of other people as do the songs of the birds, and you know, to give joy to others is to add to your own joy. So there are times when Peter wishes he could sing. He wishes this very thing now as he sat at the bank of the Smiling Pool, listening to the great spring chorus. Tra-la-la-lee, okachee, okachee, there's joy in the spring for you and for me, sang Redwing the blackbird from the bulrushes. From over in the green meadow rose the clear lilt of Carol the meadowlark, and among the otters... Among the otters, just where the Laughing Brook ran into the Smiling Pool, a flood of happiness was pouring from the throat of the little friend, the sweet song sparrow. Winsome Bluebird's sweet, almost plaintive whistle seemed to fairly float in the air, so that it was hard to say just where it did come from. Then just eat it piecemeal, Guinevere. And in the top of the big hickory tree, Welcome Robin was singing as if his heart were bursting with joy. Even Sammy Jay was adding a beautiful bell-like note instead of his usual harsh scream. As for the Smiling Pool, it seemed as if the very water itself sang, for a mighty chorus of clear piping voices from unseen singers rose from all around its banks. Peter looked Peter knew who those singers were, although look as he would, he could not see any of them. They were Hylas, the tiny cousins of Sticky Toes, the tree toad. Listening to all these joyous voices, Peter forgot for a time that he had brought with him to the Smiling Pool, but Jimmy Skunk and Uncle Billy Possum didn't forget. They were still hunting for old Mr. Toad. "Well, old Mr. Dreamer, have you found him yet?" asked Jimmy Skunk, stealing up behind Peter and poking him in the back. Peter came to himself with a start. "No," said he. "I was just listening and wishing that I could sing too. Don't you ever wish you could sing, Jimmy?" "No," replied Jimmy. "I never waste time wishing. I could do things it was never meant I should do. It's funny where old Mr. Toad is. He said that he was coming down here to sing, and Redwing the blackbird seemed to be expecting him. I've looked everywhere I can think of without finding him, but I don't believe in giving up without another try. Stop your dreaming and come help us hunt." So Peter stopped his dreaming and joined in the search. Now there was one place where neither Peter nor Jimmy nor Uncle Billy Possum had thought of looking. That was in the Smiling Pool itself. They just took it for granted that old Mr. Toad was somewhere in the bank. Presently Peter came to a place where the bank was very low and the water was shallow. For quite a little distance out of the Smiling Pool, from out of the shallow water came the piping voice of a hyla, and Peter stopped to stare, trying to see the tiny singer. Suddenly he jumped right up in the air with surprise. There was a familiar-looking head sticking out of the water. Peter had found old Mr. Toad. Edward, don't do that. Do you have anything to say?
We have this kind of full, and I was trying to give this to Mom, but Mom was not gonna do it, so I waited. Then I put it over here right there, and Mom says, "Don't put it."
You okay? Alright, I'm gonna stop the video.